Oh my gosh, we are finally here. It has been so long. Tools of Titans, the tactics, routines, and habits of billionaires, icons, and world-class performers by Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek and The 4-Hour Body. Guys, look at this. This is a freaking big book. This is a 700-page book. I've never, even considered reading a book this big before, and I am so glad that I just ordered this book without looking at the number of pages on it, because that has been, it's just been such a great decision to do. So, what this book has done is just so immeasurable compared to like every other work of nonfiction I think I've ever read. What this guy does, right, is he runs, a podcast, and he interviews hundreds and hundreds of just immensely successful people. And, he at the beginning, right, he's got all their names, like every person in the book, and it's on a couple of pages. There's just a lot of names, because there's a lot of people. And essentially, he goes through, 10 pages a person, sort of, and you walk through, exactly what they recommend you do to be the most successful as possible with fitness, money, and wisdom. That's what it says on the back. And, excuse me. And these guys are, it's just insane. You've got killer guys, and you can read the first couple of pages for free on Amazon if you want to recognize any names. But it's so cool, because what he does is they go into their very niche specific field and exactly what they like to do, and they take that and they give you insights into exactly what they do. And I feel like saying that doesn't really do it much justice, so I'm gonna put it a different way. Here's the deal, right? Before I read this book, I essentially never bookmarked a book, took extra notes. I would just read it, and I would take things I could apply and principles I could absorb, and I would use those as I could, and try to take 3 things from a book to use and immediately apply. That's why I like applicable work. This book, so here are the bookmarks I've done in this book. This is probably the first book I've ever put bookmarks in, and dude, there is just so much in here, and literally it's just things that oh shoot, I should do that, right? And these guys just keep going and going and going about here's what you should do to improve your life, or books you should read to improve your life, or oh my god. And it's just crazy because it's so many unique backgrounds and different perspectives on just this huge range of life topics. I mean, this book took forever to read, but honestly, it's one of the best books I've read in my whole life. It's insane, because you get all of these people coming together and giving you ideas to implement in all aspects of your life. I mean, there's so much gold here in business development, but beyond that, right? Enriching your life. There's a whole guy, and all he talks about are meditation and just deep-rooted internal connection with yourself and your ethos and your sauna, and different ways you can improve your life with exercise, drugs, and it was just such a unique perspective. Never seen anything like that. And how these guys use this stuff, it's just so much applicable content, and immediate ways to improve your lives. Here's why you should get a sauna, or do this exercise, or and it's so crazy. I love this book because there's so much in here. It's berserk, and it's all gold, because you're taking people that are immensely successful, and there's hundreds. They're just all describing exactly what they do to kill it in the marketplace. And it's something that I wouldn't have really thought about it originally if I was really looking at this thing and I was dude, that's a really big book. You just go with it. It's really crazy. It's a leap into a whole another gateway there, because usually you try to get like 3, 4, maybe 5 applicable things out of this, and with this there's like 20 things, 30 things if you really try 40, 50. I mean, it's very, and there's so many different niches that it goes through. And I think one of my favorite scenes in the book, about halfway through, give or take, the guy's talking about how he has this podcast, and how he gets the guys on here so that he can write about them and they can tell their story, and synthesizing it all together into a comprehensive piece of work to really like show you exactly how to like master, take control of your life. And he's talking about his podcast gear and how he sets up his podcast, and it's not necessarily the technology or the system he goes through there that I think matters, but like as a grand representation of the whole throughout this whole book, right? The real goal is to show you exactly how to do what these guys have done, and they're trying to teach you exactly how to be successful in any field you dive into. And I think that this one specific chapter where he essentially says everything he does for his podcast, all the equipment he uses, all the techniques he uses with like interviewing people or having microphones and stuff like that. He walks you through pretty much exactly how to make a podcast, and if you have the desire to do that, it's all right there. And there's that sort of scenario pops up so much in this book, because you have people that have been there, done that, and what they're doing is they're just telling you exactly how to do it. And it's such a broad range too. And he says it in the beginning, right? Like some of this stuff you might not think is useful, other people might think it's the most useful thing in the world. Like there's a bunch of really, really like strangely specific but insanely applicable fitness stuff. There's and the same with money, the same with like investing and politics. It's just crazy the depth and the breadth of content here. And it's something, it's not gonna tell you, it's like maybe 20 pages on the most interesting couple people or whatever Ferriss writes, but like it just expands your thinking so much, and like applicable, and it's not like a school way of expanding your thinking where it's like, oh, here's this thing, like here's how it works, blah blah blah. It's like these are people's entire lives, and you can just understand them at a fundamental human level and think, how can I apply this person's entire life to what I'm doing right now? And you get that. You get so many people's lives in a single book, and it's like building on top of everyone's life at once. And it's just, it's crazy. It's really crazy. I used to just like not even know about like maybe like 50% of the people in this book, and it's so cool to learn about how these individuals came from their unique backgrounds and went on to achieve what they achieved. So you learn a whole lot about getting everything you can out of all you have and just crushing it in whatever field you're in. It's really, really cool stuff, and I think it's really useful to anyone who's in school learning, or in the workplace and just looking for a new inspiration and avenue of growth where all of a sudden you've got so many more perspectives to implement in your business, or if you're in a professional job, maybe with your clients, so that all of a sudden, right, you've expanded the way that your professional life works. But at the same time, there's just so much in here for like personal development and like just having a better time with your body, or with the way you grow so that you live a healthier life. Or even, he talks about vagabonding and like living abroad and having a terrific time while working, part-time or taking time off, or like opening up your mind to opportunities, about like, hey, it doesn't actually cost that much to live in, second world countries, or these places where you can pay like $1 for breakfast, $1 for lunch, $1 for dinner. And it's so interesting to see that whole new perspective. I never would have thought about it, right? Like, who would think to take a 2-year vacation to a bunch of random countries and realize that it costs so little to do that? And you can do that, while working on your job or while working online. Or he talks about a whole lot of strategies and techniques he uses for that. very specific application from the 4-hour work week. And then you also get a little bit of insight to the 4-hour body. He goes through a couple of the really big diets, like the low carb diet. That was a really, really, really good one. And that's helped, I sent that to a couple of my family members just to help them out, and it was cool stuff. So it's just so much stuff. It's a tremendous, tremendous value. I would highly recommend. There's a link below. Tools of Titans. If you are in any position to just take your life and pump it up, this is the book to do it. Career, you can be in, I feel like any career, and you can apply the strategies, the principles, the techniques, the activities in here, and just go out there, freaking crush it. So, thanks guys. Have a good one.